And welcome, henchman, back to the Deadly Podcast of Kung Fu, brought to you by the Villains Man, where I, JVD, attempt to traverse the continuity of Marvel's most prolific martial artist in Shang-Chi and Iron Fist. If you want to follow the podcast over on Twitter, you can do so at Deadly Kung Fu Pod, or you can follow myself, JVD, over on Twitter at Villains Man, where I will talk about a multitude of topics, or anything you want to tag me in. I'll talk about it all. Today we're jumping into Deadly Hands of Kung Fu after a long mainstay there in the main title Master of Kung Fu with Shang-Chi. We're covering issues 12 through 18, which is titled The Saga of the Golden Dragon, which is super long. The creative team for this series is writer Doug Moench. Go figure, he's written almost everything for Shang-Chi up to this point. The penciler and inker for this book, Ruby Nebrez. It's kind of hard for me to say. He also done the inks on the book. Letters go to Marcos Palaio, and editors are Archie Goodwin and Don McGregor. The only issue that's not really tied into the story is number 15, which is reprints, which you'll get special Marvel edition number 16, where Shang-Chi takes on Midnight. That's in episode 1 of this podcast, so you can go download that if you haven't listened. The second story is Marvel Premieres number 16 in episode 3 of the podcast. That is the Origin of Iron Fist. Then Master of Kung Fu number 19, where Shang-Chi tangles with Man-Thing in the Florida Everglades. You can go check that out on episode 4 if you want to go check those, but I will not mention anything from that issue. Now, this is really long, being 6 issues, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to break down every issue and tell you what goes in it like I normally do, but I'm going to do all 6 up front. Then I'm going to take a breather, because obviously I'm going to be out of breath, and then I'm going to go ahead and discuss what I thought about the story, what I liked, what I didn't like, and some stuff. So, without further ado, let's move on to Deadly Hands number 12, titled Blood of the Golden Dragon. Shang-Chi watches the performance of stage magician Cho Li, who works to bring his assistant and sister Shireen back to life. Hearing the woman scream from below the stage, our hero leaps from the balcony seating to crash through the flooring, where he finds Shireen being kidnapped. After easily dispatching the thugs, one of them reveals to Shang-Chi that she knows the location of the Golden Dragon statue and were hired by someone named Shadow Thief. As Cho Li's stagehand Kawai calls the police, the magician urges Shireen to retrieve the statue and move it to another location. Fearing for her life, she asks Shang-Chi to accompany her. During the trip to retrieve the Golden Dragon from the bus terminal, Shireen fills Shang-Chi in not only its long history, but that of the mysterious immortal known as Shadow Thief. Distracted by the conversation, neither sees 2 men who worked with the kidnappers tailing them in a car. A high-speed chase ensues, ending in a dangerous turn that results in a crash, stopping their pursuers. As the 2 retrieve the Golden Dragon, they are confronted by Shadow Thief, leading to a fight with Shang-Chi. During the battle, our hero manages to unmask the villain as his sword strikes the statue, revealing it to be a fake and the supposed immortal to actually be Cho Li. As Shang-Chi goes to save her, Cho Li explains who Shireen truly is, leading her to explain that she is a spy for the Chinese government who is on a mission to return the statue back to them. Despite her profession, she pleads with Shang-Chi, telling him she plans to return it to the country itself and not to the government. Agreeing to help, the 2 leave Shireen's hotel room where the Golden Dragon is actually hidden. While leaving, the 2 come across the 2 men in the car crash, who are now shot dead. Now with a gang of his own, Kawai looks to take the statue for himself. Moving on to number 13, titled The Dragon Dies at Midnight. As Kawai, the stagehand of Cho Li, has Shang-Chi dead to rights with his revolver, Shuriken fly out of the darkness and into his hand as Cho Li the Shadow Thief has returned. Realizing the ninja is unconcerned with their previous duel, both attack Kawai and his men. After the brawl, Shang-Chi thanks him for saving his life and in return will not bring him harm. With those words, Shadow Thief slips away into the darkness. After a short debate on if they could follow him, Shang-Chi and Shireen find Cho Li still in his Shadow Thief attire, strung up and strangled by a noose around his neck. Arriving at Shireen's hotel to retrieve the Golden Dragon, Shang-Chi finds Shadow Thief fleeing by helicopter with the statue in hand. Leaping to the stairs below, he and Shireen give chase in her car, following the helicopter to Connecticut to a secluded mansion. After breaking into the building and taking out some thugs, Shadow Thief awaits Shang-Chi and gives him 2 options. Come take the Golden Dragon from him, or go save Shireen in the nearby room. Choosing the noble option, Shang-Chi finds her hanging from a ceiling embedded with spikes. Before he leaves, Shadow Thief warns Shang-Chi that cutting her free will set the trap off. To make the situation more difficult and dire, he releases cobras into the room as he takes his leave. Continuing in number 14, titled Thief in Golden Shadows, as Shadow Thief flees, Shang-Chi does everything he can to keep the cobras away from himself and the helpless Shireen. With their threat stopped, Shang-Chi sets his plan into motion by kicking in the locked door to give them escape once the ceiling falls. He then throws one of Shadowstalker's shuriken to free Shireen while running towards her. With a leaping kick, he shatters all the spikes around her as the ceiling falls, giving them a safe area. As Shang-Chi holds up the roof as much as he can, Shireen crawls through the spikes and slides him the door he kicked down, letting him use it as a wedge. In the nick of time, Shang-Chi punches through the false roof and frees them both. Unknown to them, all the commotion woke up Lionel Stern, the owner of the mansion, and his lover. With a revolver in hand, he enters the room to find Shang-Chi and Shireen, who he does not recognize, climbing from the trap. Oddly enough to all three of them, Lionel is confused on how the trap even ended up in his home. From outside, Shadow Thief helicopter fires up, distracting Stern long enough for Shang-Chi to knock him out so he can give the villain chase. As he reaches the roof, Shang-Chi leaps for the helicopter, pulling Shadow Thief and the Golden Dragon from the cockpit to the building below. The two battle over the statue, and in a desperate attempt to escape, Shadow Thief throws the Golden Dragon off the roof. Shang-Chi chases after it to only find it was a trick as he looks up to see Shadow Thief with the real statue on the helicopter's ladder as it flies away. Meanwhile, Stern's lover recognizes Shireen, calling her by her name, and she attacks. The spy knocks the woman out and takes Stern to Shang-Chi. The man reveals he paid Shadow Thief to steal the statue for him, showing Shireen and Shang-Chi the real one. Our hero then breaks the Golden Dragon, revealing it to be another fake. From behind, a familiar voice calls out to Shang-Chi. It's Black Jack Tarr, who has a gun pointed at him, stating Dennis Nayland Smith wants the Golden Dragon for himself and has given him orders to kill anyone who gets in the way, regardless if they are friend or foe. So we're skipping number 15 here, and we're moving on to issue 16, called Demons Painted in Death. Shang-Chi informs Black Jack Tarr that the statues have all been fake except for the one Shadow Thief has, leading the man to become frustrating. Taking it out on Stern to get information, Shang-Chi is caught off guard by his allies' aggressive behavior. As Stern gives up the location to where he made the deal with Shadow Thief at Manhattan, Shireen quietly picks up his revolver and opens fire on Black Jack Tarr before fleeing. Confused on what to do, Jack demands Shang-Chi come with him before Shireen gets to the location first. As they do, Lionel Stern makes a call to inform whoever is on the line that they are on their way. As he goes to check on his lover, she beats him unconscious once she finds out that Shireen has fled and the Golden Dragon is gone. Taking an overcoat from the closet, she leaves the mansion herself. In Manhattan, Shang-Chi and Black Jack Tarr arrive at the location Lionel Stern gave them, which turns out to be a Chinese funeral parlor. Within, they meet Cho Li, who has proclaimed to cheat death and return to the living. He summons the dead to rise from the nearby caskets and hits Black Jack Tarr in the face with fire, setting his skull ablaze to reveal he is a demon. Shang-Chi battles the undead, shattering their mask to reveal each one of them is Kawhi, Cho Li's stage assistant. With the minions defeated, Cho Li sends the Black Jack Tarr demon after Shang-Chi. He easily defeats him, shattering the skull to reveal the hidden Golden Dragon statue within. Taking it for himself, Cho Li waves his hand and disappears, as does the fallen bodies in the destroyed funeral parlor around him, as if nothing ever happened. Shang-Chi exits the parlor as Black Jack Tarr and Stern's supposed lover pull up. Both Shang-Chi and Tarr are confused as why Sir Nayland Smith didn't put them together on the assignment. Tarr then informs Shang-Chi that the dragon doesn't have a ruby but secret documents that Shireen has been sent after by the Chinese government. He then introduces the woman as Jenny Quinn, who has been on the mission of retrieving the Golden Dragon statue for Smith since the beginning. It is then that Shang-Chi realizes he never seen Black Jack Tar at Stern's mansion and that there must be some sort of magic at play, as Jenny panics in terror as a massive golden dragon descends from the rooftops towards them. Continuing on in issue 17, titled The Key of the Dragon's Heart. As Shang-Chi, Black Jack Tar, and Jenny Quinn watch the dragon move closer to them, Shadow Thief fires a blowgun at Black Jack Tar, causing Shang-Chi to push him out of the way and being hit by the dart himself. Then confusion sets in as Jenny Quinn and Black Jack Tar claim that the dragon disappeared, yet Shang-Chi sees it continuing its descent to the street along with Shadow Thief. Shang-Chi reminds the ninja that he did not forget he had saved his life earlier. As neither gains the upper hand, the dragon rushes forward to devour both of them, leaving both Tar and Jenny Quinn even more confused as he claims both disappeared just like the dragon. Inside the beast, Shang-Chi chases Shadow Thief through corridors, leading him to believe he has been drugged. He then finds Shireen, who pleads to Shang-Chi why she needs the golden dragon. Next, Lionel Stern appears with a machine gun and surrounded by many golden dragons, claiming if Shang-Chi tries to take them that he will kill him. Dennis Nayland Smith appears, admitting he knows he has led Shang-Chi down a conflicting path, but patriotism is necessary and that's why he should have the documents inside the golden dragon. Next is Black Jack Tar, followed by Jenny Quinn, and then Kawhi, each of them telling Shang-Chi why they need the golden dragon more than the others he's met. Finally, Cho-Li appears, threatening Shang-Chi, claiming that if Shadow Thief couldn't defeat him, then he has no chance. He demands that he gets the golden dragon because the ruby heart feeds his magic. As Shang-Chi leaves them all behind, he enters the heart of the dragon where Shadow Thief awaits him. The ninja asks him what is his purpose for wanting the dragon. Is it evidence for winning their fight? If so, then he has wasted his time. With that, he attacks and knocks Shang-Chi into the darkness. Beaten and tired, he emerges from the darkness, to only see his rejuvenated self staring at him and ready to fight. Now we move on to the conclusion in issue 18 titled, Seeker of the Dragon. The healthy Shang-Chi stares down at his tired counterpart, claiming that the golden dragon as his own, that he will kill any who try to take it. But if the tired Shang-Chi should destroy it, he will be free of the living dragon. This leads the tired Shang-Chi to realize that this entire time his inner struggles within himself, the conflict of good and evil, the conflict of should he be passive or take action, the conflict of should he focus and calm or give in to his fury, has been wearing him down that he needs to destroy this. This sends the healthy Shang-Chi into a violent rage as he begins to destroy his counterpart. As he does so, the reasonings for everyone's need of the golden dragon echo through the chamber to mock him. Blocking them all out, all Shang-Chi hears is the breathing of the dragon, which gives him an inner peace, and he finds a way to destroy his healthy counterpart and destroy the golden dragon. Dawn approaches as Shang-Chi wakes up in the middle of the street. Everyone is gone except for what lays before him, the golden dragon. He now knows he has no need for it, but it must be passed on to someone else. Entering the funeral parlor, he finds Black Jack Tar and Jenny Quinn have all the others at gunpoint since Shang-Chi has gone missing. Upon his arrival, Lionel Stern lashes out at him since he is holding the golden dragon, struggling to take it from Shang-Chi but causing it to hit the floor, revealing he is the greediest of them all. Within the broken pieces in the sand is a four-toed ruby which excites Stern, but is quickly taken up by Black Jack Tar. Knowing it is a fake as well, he crushes it in his hands. Discovering there is a small note within it he sees as no more than a terrible joke. In a rage for being lied to and cheated, Lionel Stern foolishly attacks Shadow Thief. Before the assassin can deliver a blow, Shang-Chi talks an ninja into sparing the man's life by stating his quest is over. As Shadow Thief disappears into the darkness behind him, so does Cho-Li, revealing that he and Shadow Thief are twin brothers. With Kawhi and Shireen left, Black Jack Tar decides he is going to turn them over to the police for their part in the thievery. This prompts Shang-Chi to continue his wise ways and tells Black Jack Tar that he is no different from them, an enemy agent working for their government, and that he should let them go because he is just as guilty as them during the night's events. With her final words, Shireen apologizes to Shang-Chi as everyone walks their separate ways, thanking him for helping not only her but everyone else, though none of them deserve his kindness. As Shang-Chi leaves the parlor to walk the streets alone, the note within the golden dragon's ruby whips into the wind, revealing the words as the shadow of the dragon looms above him. It reads, "Without pursuit, life is meaningless and hollow." So with that winded breakdown of 6 issues and monotone madness, which I apologize for, I'm going to take a break and tell you about Anchor. When we get back, I'm going to discuss what I thought about the stories, its pros and cons, and what it could possibly lead to in the future. And welcome back to the Deadly Podcast of Kung Fu, brought to you by the Villains Man with JVD. So basically, I'm going to try to make this shorter than the breakdown of all 6 issues. It's a very, very long story, but the art really makes it a lot more bearable to read all of that. The art is excellent in this book, and I really, really love it. But this book starts off pretty fast, and it doesn't stop with the beginning of each issue doing an awesome job of recapping the story to the point in just one page. So, like, if you were to pick up issue 16, it would really recap what's gone on the last 3 issues just to catch you up to speed if you had not read them, which is good for somebody just picking a book up off the shelf just based off of, a cover of what they see. So, and you really don't get a lot of that in comics these days, so if you read these, you really appreciate that stuff. This book's full of swerves and backstabbing and the surprising reveals. This story feels like Shang-Chi is in a spy movie like we've been seeing in Master of Kung Fu, where everything gets turned upside down real fast and the main characters find out their allies are actually against them. There's a lot of back and forth. You don't know who to trust. And what's crazy is you can actually get lost in what's going on, much like I did. I read this story twice just to really try to keep pace and sort everything out as I was writing a breakdown for this book, because it's a lot to take in. And honestly, in my opinion, it's very confusing because all these details that happen later on in the book would help the story for a reader if it was introduced early on, and I think that's where it really helps loses a lot of the focus as a reader when you go on. Now, the end of this book, if you ask me, is very wonky and confusing, and I say this because if you only were to read Deadly Hands of Kung Fu and never read Masters of Kung Fu, he recently Masters of Kung Fu, and if you listen to this podcast, there's a lot of inner conflict with Shang-Chi about, being a pacifist, but yet he's teamed up with Sir Dennis Nayland Smith and Blackjack Tar, who we see, mentioned in this book, Dr. Petrie, who have a path of violence to stop someone like Fu Manchu and anybody that may be an enemy to them. And Shang-Chi doesn't want that. He does not want to kill anybody. But yet, he's brought themselves up with these people and made allies out of them, and they're totally against what he stands for. And I think this book really kind of sums up like him realizing, like, I need to push everybody aside, not be taking orders from anybody else, and do things my way to achieve inner peace. So I really think that's the overall story of this, and it kind of makes sense with the end of this book with the letter that's in the dragon. It says without a pursuit, life is meaningless. So when he's not had the pursuit of his own, he's pushed that aside, for Sir Dennis Nayland Smith and his allies to try to stop his father. And now it's almost like he's realized that I needed to go about this my own way to try to figure this out. And as I try to read these in order as best as possible, bringing to you people, we'll see if that plays out. I mean, we've really seen it be effective in these last 2 or 3 Masters of Kung Fu stories here recently. So let's see how that plays out with the rest of this. Now, the main focus of the story is this golden dragon. It's made of solid gold with a ruby the size of a man's fist as its heart, so it says. It sounds very Iron Fist and Shou-Lao the Undying to me. But Shireen tells Shang-Chi that it's a family treasure of the Yunan dynasty since the 13th century in China and was a gift to the Great Khan from Marco Polo. That's some deep history for this, basically MacGuffin here, this plot device for this story. Shireen and her brother Cho-Li are the only members left of their family left to protect it. And then once the main players reveal themselves for who they are, and then each of these statues come into play to be a fake, you really can't help begin to wonder where this statue truly came from. And how did its legend become so grand for something so minor? And, how does all these people come to want this thing? And the big question is, who the hell is making all these fakes? No one seems to know where the real one is. Everybody's tossing around a fake one. So, we learned in issue 12, though, Cho Li took it from someone who smuggled it out of China. So, Shadow Thief probably ninja murdered them just to get it. And in number 17, Shang-Chi's illusions about the characters that are involved in all this. The caption box is about Shireen is revealed that it's stolen from a museum. So you can see where a lot of this confusion comes in once you're reading this story. And maybe some of this stuff would have been more important in the beginning of the story instead of later. So, and the ending reveals nothing to its true backstory at all. It's frustrating. And then it's great at the same time once we see the final panel in the letter that I just mentioned. So, plot device confuses everybody and kind of winds up being a joke. Now, my answer to all this is it has to be Fu Manchu. He's the only person that can do something like this. Every book he's in, his schemes are really grand. They're really played out, and this would be a great way to basically get all of his enemies off of his back. So, and that's what I like to think. So, and the thing is, he's not even in the story. 6 whole issues, he's not even in the story. And it makes so much sense that he would put this golden dragon out there while he's just off doing something else just as a diversion tactic. So we got a cast of characters for this book. Obviously, we have Black Jack Tar. We already know who he is. We have Jenny Quinn, who works for Sir Dennis Nayland Smith and is undercover looking for the dragon. During Shang-Chi's illusions about the character, she talks about being greedy and wanting money, which is very strange because we rarely see her up to that point, and she never says anything about wanting the dragon for herself when her and Black Jack Tar meet Shang-Chi outside the funeral parlor towards the end of the book. So I don't know where her greed comes from. I feel like there's a chunk of the story missing there. Next we have Lionel Stern, whose girlfriend is the undercover Jenny Quinn, and he is paid to have the dragon stolen by Shadow Thief. And he gets played out on by Jenny, but Cho Li, Shadow Thief's brother, who happens to be the only person he calls when Shang-Li leaves his mansion, when we find out that Shadow Thief double-crossed him. And he has no clue who either one of them are until they reveal that they're twins at the end. So he's just completely thrown into this thing thinking he's got something, and he's getting screwed everywhere. Then we have Kawhi, who reveals his intentions in issue 17 as someone who actually works for the people of China, or so he says. And he's an agent for the People's Party. We're not really sure how true any of this is. This would have probably worked better to build the mystery of the story if he and his men confronted Shang-Chi and Shireen after revealing their true backstory, considering he's actually a spy, because Black Jack is going to take him away at the end of the story. So I'm assuming he actually works for the Republic of China and is actually a spy. Now, the confusing part in this whole story with this is we go back to issues 14 and 16, involving Black Jack Tar, who acts very odd for his character at Lionel Stern's mansion. Very off put for the character. You can go back and listen. But he says that Dennis Smith ordered him to kill either Chinese agent if necessary. When Shireen escapes, he's the only person fired upon. I believe it's Kawhi in disguise at this point. It only makes sense because he's mentioned back at the theater to be the best actor at the end of issue 12. Has to make sense. It has to be him in disguise. And that would make a lot of sense why there's the shootout with him and Shireen there. He also seems that he's shorter than Black Jack Tar, which we know he is extremely huge. Now, Jenny Quinn not being able to identify Black Jack at the mansion feeds into this too because she is knocked out, and when she's awakened, Shang-Chi's gone. She just knew Shireen was there. When Jenny and Black Jack back arrive at the funeral parlor, Shang-Chi is confused why he's outside because Black Jack was just inside with him when they saw the resurrection of Cho Li. If that's a grand illusion and Kawhi was a stagehand, he would be aware of this and could easily slip away and leave Shang-Chi behind in the parlor. So he has to be this undercover spy. It makes a lot of sense that he was disguised as Black Jack Smith. So it actually makes him a very cool character in the end. Next is Shireen, who is a spy for the Chinese government, and though she is out to steal a dragon for them, she actually tends to give it back to the people. Despite her actions midway through the story, that makes this questionable, and then she also knocks out Jenny Quinn, which makes all this questionable, and then she opens fire on Black Jack Tar for escaping, which I just mentioned. She might have known that was Kauai in disguise. Then after all this, she completely flips her script during the Shang-Chi illusions about her character. For some strange reason, this is when she reveals she has done nothing but lie and is just a girl from Los Angeles. This holds true because Black Jack Tar doesn't arrest her when he's going to take Kauai in. So I'm very confused by all of that. Why would she say that she's a girl from LA when it clearly looks like she's a spy? And I don't know why Jenny Quinn would recognize who she is. See, there's a lot of confusing elements to the story as it unfolds, and I'm just glad to get through a lot of it so I can move on from this super long story. Then we have Cho-Li, who's a magician or a simple stage act. We're not really sure. He seems to be some type of sorcerer wizard. And his twin, Shadow Thief, a deadly assassin, who are the best two characters in the story. And I really hope to see more of them because they're a complete mystery. And at the end, it's revealed they are brothers, and it's easy to tell when Cho-Li poses as Shadow Thief. After he fakes his death, the real one slaughters everyone he comes in contact with. And during all this, Cho-Li, when he escapes at Lionel's mansion and leaves him there, it's because he wants to fight Shang-Chi. And a lot of things you can tell, times you can tell who is which. You can tell when Cho-Li is Shadow Thief because he usually speaks as then. And when you see Shadow Thief, the real one, it's not like he's saying anything when he's killing everybody. So that was the only way I could tell the difference between the two, in my opinion. But these two characters are completely awesome, and I hope to see more of them. I really mean that. Shireen's story of Shadow Thief as this mysterious immortal is completely interesting. He's a man born in a time beyond time. He's a great master of Oriental arts, the first pupil of Buddha, and the tutor of every master, samurai, and ninja in ages past. Even the greatest ninja he had taught only possesses 1/10 of his skill and power. The Shadow Thief would train them no more out of fear. They would haunt him after their deaths for not doing so. That's completely out of the book. It's so cool. I really, really love it. It really fits a lot of the Shang-Chi feel of what I really want from these books. This history even puzzles Shang-Chi as he believes the elixir of vital, or the elixir of life, that Fu Manchu consumes to prolong his life is involved with both these two because they actually seem like they're immortals. Sadly, this leads to nowhere in this story, so I'm really, really hoping that we get more of this. The only last thing I have for all this is, how did Shang-Chi end up with the real dragon after the really kick-ass illusion fights when the dragon illusion or whatever was swallowed him? He just wakes up in the road and there's the dragon and everybody's inside and he's just out there laying with the dragon. How he got there, I don't know, and that's what makes me think it's Fu Manchu. I can see where he just came down in his helicopter while Shang-Chi's passed out or drugged up, laid it there and was like, haha, this is a victory for me, and he flies off. Shang-Chi wakes up and he's like, wow, the dragon's here. I've ended up with a dragon. Then he goes up and sees all the crap that's taking place in the funeral parlor. So, I like this story. I don't recommend reading it because it's very long. It can be confusing. It might take you a couple times to read to catch on with what's going on. And I'm just glad to get it over with. It's the longest story I've read so far. So, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm JVD. You can follow me on Twitter at VillainsMan. You can follow the Deadly Podcast of Kung Fu over on Twitter at Deadly Kung Fu Pod. You can follow VillainsMan wherever you follow social media. If you like our music, check out Rushing Tiger by Kuro. Remember, guys, support your favorite podcast, support your local comic book shops, and keep reading comics, guys.